Okay, so let's have a look at finding percent of a value. So if you look at your number line, you've got 0% and 100%, and always halfway is going to be 50%. Half of that again would be 25%. Likewise, 3/4 would be 75%. And somewhere down here is 10%, 1%, 0.5%, any value that you want to do. And then it depends on what the number is as to what the value of that percentage is. If this number is 100, 50% is 50, 25% is 25, 10% is 10. But if this number is different, say you had $500, well, 50% is $250, a quarter is $125. Can you see that it depends on what the value is as to what the percentage will be? These percentages never change. 25% is always a quarter, 50% is always a half, 75% is always 3/4. But it depends on what I'm finding the value of as to what this would be. If this was $60, 50% would be $30, 25% would be a quarter, $15, 10% would be $6. So that's what we're going to have a look at this time around. So we're going to look at finding 12% of $350. So even before you start, have a think about it. What's 10% of $350? Well, 10% is a tenth. So if I divided 350 by 10, that'd be 35. So my answer should be a little bit more than 35. So it's a good idea to have something in your mind before you start. So 100% is how many dollars? 350. What would I like to know? Well, I'd like to know what 12% is. And I know that there's a 0 there and a 0 there. And this is the number that I'd like to work out. What number is 12% of 350? So what's the first step? Well, we find out what 1%'s worth. And which side is the side that we're going to find the 1 on? It's on this side because I've got two values. So I can work out the 1 here. How did I go from 100 to 1? I divided by 100. And then what did I do? If I know what 1% is worth, I can work out what 12% is by multiplying by 12. Beg your pardon. So I can multiply by 12. So I'm going to do exactly the same to the other side. 350 divided by 100 and then multiplied by 12. It's a bit hard to see, isn't it? Let me write that again. Times 12. Is that any better? Can you see it? Okay. So let's have a look. My number is, let's follow the arrows back. My number is, let's follow those arrows. Well, I started at 350. What did I do to it? I divided it by 100. Then what did I do to it? I multiplied it by 12. So let's have a look at how that simplifies. Well, 350 over 100 is the same as 35 over 10. Can you see that 5 goes into both of those? So how many times does 5 go into that one? 7. How many times does 5 go into that one? Twice. I can also cancel. How many times does 2 go into 2 once? How many times does 2 go into 12? 6. And then 7 times 6 is 42. So $42. $42, it's on the dollar side, is 12% of 350. Is that close to what we thought? Yeah, it is, because we knew it had to be at least more than $35, didn't it? So 12% of 350 is 42. So let's have a look at another example, 5.2% of 30 kilos. Okay, so 10% would be 3 kilos. So we're looking at somewhere around the 1.5 kilo mark, aren't we? A little bit more. So what do you know? Well, you know that 100% is 30 kilos. What would you like to know? 5.2%. So I've put everything I know in. Now I have to say to myself, okay, oh, and this is the number that I'd like to know. What do I do now? Well, I work out 1%. Let's work out the 1% on this side where I've got the two values. There's the 1. How did I get from 100 to 1? I have to divide by 100. How do I get from 1 to 5.2? Well, I go times 5.2. I'm going to do exactly the same on the other side. So I will divide by 100 and I will multiply by 5.2. So my number is, let's have a look, follow the arrows back, 30 divided by 100 times 5.2. So that can cancel with that. 5 times 3 is 15. 3 times 0.2 is 0.6. So I've got 15.6 divided by 10, which is 1.56 kilos. So 3 lots of 5.2 is 15.6, and I've still got to divide it by 10 on the bottom to give me 1.56. Is that about what we expected? Yeah, it is. So that's how you do those ones.